Oregon, this is CNN. So I don't know what your opinion is on CNN, but I take that as a trusted source. Oregon becomes the first state to decriminalize, legalize and decriminalize, two different things. It's very important. Decriminalize small amounts of heroin and other street drugs.
Yeah, but that means you can possess it, but you can't sell it. That's
Oregon has become the first state in the nation to decriminalize the possession and personal use of all drugs.
Yeah. But it's not that wouldn't be the first place.
No, I'm not. Okay. I'm not shocked.
Because no joke.
I don't know if I'm fucking with this. That doesn't sound...
In Prague, it's legal to carry up to 5 grams of cocaine.
Yeah, but they have an ecosystem for that.
Yeah, but I'm saying like, it's not the first time. Process. It's not the first time that happens.
I'm sure there's a process of some.
No. The police, like, these are friends of mine. It's like, you know, if
measure
the police catches you.
Also,
let's say like you're walking around with 2 grams of coke in Prague. Police stops you. They find it. You're off the hook. Okay, so I want to read this because this adds some perspective. Yeah, go ahead, I'm going to change the...
So voters in the state approved Measure 110 on Wednesday, CNN projected, and the initiative also expands access to addiction assistance and other health services, offering aid to those who need it instead of arresting and jailing people for drugs. I do fuck with that. If someone has a problem, help them. You just throw them in jail. That doesn't fix anything. So... I was saying, look at how crazy this country... That's the thing about this country is so fascinating. Because you have one place where people, like, they're still on, like, healthcare is a privilege.
Yeah.
Like, you have to earn healthcare.
Yeah.
And then you have another place where they say, you know what, meth isn't even that bad, though. Like, let's just do that.
because
like,
the withdrawals...
How do you... the gap is... See, because that's the issue with that. That they go too extreme. It's like they can't find a good balance, so they go extreme there and they go extreme here. I don't know. I get the people who have an addiction shouldn't be jailed. I agree with that. I don't know how this is gonna work. Honestly, I don't know how it's gonna pay. It might work out. I don't know.
It's similar to what marijuana used to be here.
Yeah.
It'll be an interesting experiment to know because look, at one point it's not even just that. I think it's also to battle if they would do it statewide, but especially the states bordering Mexico. You're not going to win the war on drugs. That's not going to be won. Like, you've already figured that out by now. The cartels are going to keep getting stronger. Supply and demand. There's always going to be a demand. There's always going to be a supply from there. If you legalize it or, you know, monitor it through the government and, you know, then you are sort of killing the competition or competing with the cartels in that sense and giving them less power, less influence. Because, you know, if you're addicted to drugs or you want to get drugs, you can get drugs. I can ask a couple people right now. They give me a number. I call a guy. I have drugs, right? Whether the laws are, you know, whatever the law is.
It's an interesting thing.
It's an interesting
I'm very split on this one. Because on the one hand, I'm like, I see what you guys are saying. Because they make a good point. They say it's the biggest blow to the war on drugs. Shift the focus to public health. Removes one of the most common justifications for law enforcement to harass people, prosecute people, arrest people for nothing, incarcerate people for nothing. I agree with all that. That's true. This is the number one reason they used to fuck people up. Oh, you had drugs. Oh, you might have drugs. Oh, we think you have drugs.
Yeah.
If you decriminalize that, they can't do that anymore.
Exactly.
So I'm totally for that. I don't know about people just...
Yeah, I know we're split on this. And a lot of this...
I don't really know how I feel about that one.
A lot of this, I'm just playing devil's advocate, to be honest.
Because what are we going to do? Like, I assume no driving, obviously.
No driving on drugs?
I would assume so.
I would have to check the law in Prague as well.
Because
I think that's a good point of comparison.
You can't drink it. You can't drink it, right?
No, you can't. No.
So
that's clear. But
I would hope.
Look, yeah, I think here my friend was telling me, and he's big into pot. Like he smokes a lot of weed. He was driving and telling me in Holland, and it's rarely used, but they do have this apparatus that they can check the level of THC in your blood, which is the chemical that is released in marijuana. Yeah,
it's very common.
So you can't smoke too much and drive either.
No. They can catch you.
But there's a difference in the effects. Obviously, you can't drive on heroin. Like that's clear to me. Cocaine, however, could make you a more aggressive yet better, more alert driver. I find this interesting.
I heard it. I thought it was a joke, to be honest. Like, I heard this, I thought...
Yeah, a lot of people did see it. I think it was a joke. I knew it was real because it was on, like, reputable news sources.
I'm like, CNN, Washington Post as well. I don't know. How do you feel about this? I mean, I know you're kind of saying it now, but break it down for me.
Yeah, but also partly I'm being devil's advocate. But,
No, but you, though. Not the devil. You. Tell me what you think. Because I don't know what I think yet. I'm still like, I don't know. How is it gonna work? How would this in society work? So I wanna pop some meth. I can go to a. Can you start a business with it yet now? That's what I want to know. Because if it's decriminalized, can I sell it now then?
The medical business probably, because I would think like so a lot of these drugs they're mentioning, the withdrawal symptoms are just extremely but probably like microdoses of stuff to get off of it maybe. Because so on the one hand, I think it's devastating because it'll probably create more addictions.
You think so?
Yeah, because it's not just readily available. So people are like, oh, I don't have to worry anymore and be discreet about it. I can just keep ordering tons of this shit. I know
there's some people who make the argument if you do that, people are less likely to.
But then again, we shouldn't forget that they're saying decriminalized and not legal, right? It's just decriminalized. So you can't actually openly just keep selling it and creating it and selling it. So that's still illegal.
You can start a business in it, but you're not going to be jailed for having.
No, actually, now that we put this distinction in, I do think it's an interesting experiment, and it should be done. Like someone, I guess it's something nobody wants to be the front runner in it, and Oregon just like thought let's just bite on our gum shield and go for it, and try it out. Because I think in terms of because I've looked into the drug war a lot. And I've done a lot of research especially when I was like in advanced Spanish classes and stuff. We had to talk about the cartels.
The drug war is some absolute bullshit. I don't support that at all.
But that's a war you're never going to win, and it's only going to create more victims. And the demand is still going to remain, and it actually keeps increasing. I think year by year in the States, and the States is the biggest consumer.
It's meant as an excuse to oppress certain people and to harass certain people. That's what it's meant for. It's not meant to actually solve anything.
Of course.
It's not meant to actually solve anything. It's not.
Yeah, you can look at it from
It's meant to be some bullshit. So I'm completely for getting rid of that. I get it. I don't know about this one, though.
See, but in this case, as you said before, you're going to get rid of, at least really decrease the amount of those kinds of arrests and victims of those arrests, which will also mean, if that's what you're assuming you're, stopping a lot of these black people in cars for, it might, bring down the amount of police shootings against black communities.
That's the idea. That's the idea. Which is true.
But I also think the war on drugs, when I was researching it myself, the biggest consumer of drugs in the world is the United States, bordering Mexico. The amount of drug use in Mexico, okay, check, like, I don't want to ask you to research everything, but it's extremely, extremely, extremely low percentage compared to the States. The consumption in the States is the reason that these Mexican cartels are so big.
No, they make money off the States, not off Mexico.
And I know, like, a lot of this stuff. Maybe a lot of people.
Yeah, they make money off. Yeah, no, of course, we're talking to people, of course.
This could be an interesting way to battle it, because decriminalizing it.
That's what all these articles are saying. It's a very strong argument.
It's like, it's fucked up in a way, because you're thinking support the local drug creators. But
there's very strong arguments for it. I'm definitely not against it. I don't know how it would work. That's kind of what the question. I'm like, how does this work?
Yeah, and besides, it's just one state, so it's not really going to create much of a pool for comparison. If you legalize
it, how many people do you think would take it on a regular basis? Because I'm still not using it. You know what I mean? Like, I think the majority of people still wouldn't take that shit.
Yeah, but I think people are using it very...
kind of like smoking, right? You can smoke, but most people don't smoke.
Yeah, you wouldn't just start smoking just because it's
the majority of the human population doesn't smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
Few people.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. But I think the people that are like casual users will probably, some of them will become more casual than now.
I mean, look,
like in London, for example, in Europe, London is if you still consider them Europe right now. But, in London is the biggest consumer of cocaine in Europe, and it started with like a lot of these high, how do you call them? The Wall Street people, the World Trade Center workers, the corporate, the people big up their stockbrokers and stuff. It started with them as casual use. Like most of the addictions in London started like that, with like, oh, just on Fridays, at Friday night I go out with my colleagues, or Saturday night I'm only using cocaine once a week. So it's like a healthy dose. That's how it starts. But then they're like, we started realizing we're extra stressed, and so once you already get in there as a gateway, now I'm using Fridays and Saturdays because I'm going out twice a week. But now I'm coming down on Sundays, and I need some more to get me up, so now I'm using it all weekend. And now I'm thinking, oh, maybe just a little bit in lunch here to get me sharp, like it's not too bad during the week. And before you know it, you're using it 4 or 5 times a week, and now it's a full-fledged addiction. This Oregon case, again, this is going to be what happens to people that have already used. Just that they use it casually once a week, 1 day a week, and now they're going to use it 3-4 times a week. That's where it's dangerous because that's where it gets addictive, I'm sure.
I don't know.
But it's an interesting experiment.
I don't know
if anywhere it has to go, it has to be Oregon.
I could see it work somehow. I could see somehow work. I just don't know how.
The only thing is, man, I wish that they did it in a border state, like a bordering Mexico, because those are the states that's where the entry is. That's where the highest amount is used, I believe, from if I can remember correctly, from at least when I did the research was 6-7 years ago.
I know Texas is bad.
Texas.
That's one of those places.
But of course, Texas isn't going to do it.
They're
not going to do this experiment.
No.
Yeah, Texas is very bad.
In terms of drug addiction, it's not.
But
good.
That's where you have more of a pool of reference of how it's going to affect the cartels. But who knows? Maybe they're not doing this to fight to get rid of the drug war and not fight the drug war anymore.
No, that's what they're doing. That's the reason.
That's the reason?
That's what they're saying is the reason. That was the thought process behind it. To get rid of the drug war, get rid of a lot of racial disparities, because it's one of the biggest things that is used.
Yeah.
To have racist laws, racist law enforcement is what they're saying, of course.
I guess you can do it if you monitor the effect of it on the suppliers, who of course Oregon has their suppliers and stuff, and not necessarily the smugglers or because you have the main suppliers that that carry the product from Mexico across the border, and then from there you have the distributors, distributor around the state. So you're probably cutting off the distributors in Oregon. That'd be an interesting research to do. I think if this works, someone on the border state should adopt it.
Because they're explaining. My thing is, everything I'm reading is explained. We'll have to look into it more before I can say more about it. But everything I'm looking into now, victory for common sense or for science. Okay, I'm very interested in this. But it's they're all talking about what it would mean for the people. I want to know what it's going to mean for the drug dealer. They're all explaining what it would mean for the users. I want to know where's the plug going now? What does he do? Like,
come on, Vice, give us that.
Can he just?
That's something. Vice is gonna make the documentary.
Can he just start an LLC? Can he just fucking? How does it work?
Yeah, that's.
I don't think so. I'm not being simple. I don't. I mean, to be honest, it's not a stupid question.
No,
because weed
totally
is decriminalized
here.
You can start a coffee shop. You can start a business in weed here. So is that what they're gonna do or not? That's kind of what I want to know.
And again, here, like, marijuana isn't. It's decriminalized. It's probably legal by now, is it?
Oh, watch. This is a very good explanation. Residents no longer can be arrested or imprisoned for possessing small amounts of substances such as heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, or LSD. That doesn't mean the drugs are legal. Instead, the measure reduces the offense to a non-criminal offense and a maximum fine of $100, and mandates establishing an addiction treatment program funded in part by taxes from marijuana sales. This I 1000% agree with.
Yeah.
This I get.
Yeah, because look, if
that makes sense.
Man.
That I get. So now it's like the other articles. Now it becomes like a traffic ticket.
Yeah.
It becomes something like that.
Perfectly fine people that have used like a drug once in a while. Like if you haven't listen, put yourself in this situation. A guy, the perfect family man, and he likes to unwind. Like once a week, he goes out with his friends. Right? He's allowed that privilege to go out. Great father, everything. He just happens to one day. Do 2 lines of cocaine with his friends, like on that night out, to help him unwind, and that's the night he gets caught. You have a criminal record now. You're a perfectly fine person. You don't even dabble in this stuff. You don't even have an addiction, nothing. You just did it once. You got caught at the wrong time, wrong place, wrong time. Now your career is, on the line. You're talking about people's lives here. You're talking about their kids' lives and stuff. They have a criminal record. They go to jail for these things. I agree in that case. What else?
Yeah. That. Interesting.
Yeah. A lot of interesting developments in the States. But I think we've spoken about the U.S. for way too long.